did not check the microphone this morning. Just started yapping. That's your proof right there. Technical difficulties do happen. We got some more NFL draft talk. I got a really good question when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals draft. And also, an interesting idea for a new leader of the Phoenix Suns. Let's talk about it next.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Woo. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need him. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like callus. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Sorry, guys. Listen, just things happen. It is, I love the guy says, best show in the land. You guys really seem to like that theme song. Either way, I apologize. Technical difficulties literally just get in the way. I'm using a free streaming software. So what do they say? You just get what you pay for. That's ultimately, at the end of the day, what everyone says. And I am getting what I pay for this morning. So before we dive deeper into the Ben Garcia Show and all the things that will come with it, give me half a second, because I just told you technical difficulties, right? I didn't lie to you. Well, technical difficulties. Give me 3 seconds, just really quickly. All right, we should be good now. Everything is all good. We're fine. Audio crystal clear. Video even better. Let's talk about it all. The Arizona Cardinals NFL Draft extravaganza coming up on Thursday. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Appreciate you guys making me a part of your day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and tell a friend potentially about the Ben Garcia Show. I got a question about the Arizona Cardinals draft conversations. And you know what's really funny about this? I had this idea last night. Well, I haven't necessarily had this idea last night. I've had it in the back of my mind for a while. And I decided to talk about it this morning. And why is that? Why would I have this idea and then it just comes true the next day? This is some of the stuff that I feel like you get on this show. If there's one thing, I think I've got that creative side to me to kind of think 5 steps ahead of every other show. Explore every angle, and we are able to actually think about some of the other things that maybe a different show wouldn't. And so last night, I'm thinking about topics for the show. What would come off best? And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, yesterday I just talked about the Arizona Cardinals being aggressive. Aggressive. So why aren't the Arizona Cardinals rumored to going after Abdul Carter? Oh, I know. It's going to cost so much in the draft. It's going to be just a lot of draft capital to be able to go out and get what is, I think, the best player in the draft. Better than Travis Hunter, better than Cam Ward. If you pass up on Abdul Carter, it's because you need a quarterback. I have no idea what the Browns are doing. I have no idea what the Giants are doing. But just so we're being fair, why aren't the Arizona Cardinals in the Abdul Carter sweepstakes? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm being a little facetious here. But if the Cardinals offered every pick they have in this draft for Abdul Carter, I probably wouldn't do it, but I'd think about it. If the Cardinals gave a future second-round pick, and their second-round pick this year, and obviously a swap of first-round picks to jump all the way up to the 3rd overall selection to the New York Giants to go get Abdul Carter, I would do it in a heartbeat. And you ask yourself, well, it's not really all that fair because you're going to get one player, you're going to give up a lot of draft assets. The Arizona Cardinals already don't have a lot of draft picks to work with. And I would say, so what? Let me just ask you a question. If you could pick one player in this draft, any player, not realistically, whoever it is that you would like on this team from this draft pool, who would you take? And why is it Abdul Carter? If the Cardinals got one player in this draft, and that player was Abdul Carter, he would Fix one of your deepest positions of need at the edge rusher position. He's without a doubt, in my opinion, the best player in the NFL draft, and he's at a position you need. And if you're the New York Giants or the Cleveland Browns and you feel like it's too much of a reach to take a quarterback at 2 or 3, Shedeur Sanders is going to likely fall all the way to the Arizona Cardinals pick. And if he doesn't, you could still trade back up in front of the Saints or someone else and still get your guy. But I think that is a better excuse for passing on Abdul Carter than just taking a quarterback because you need a quarterback. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, these kind of guys are not necessarily changing the landscape of the NFL next season. But the Cardinals need a game changer. And they have issues at the pass rushing position. And although I've sang the praises about elevating the floor of this team and their pass rushing woes, if we're just being fair here, Abdul Carter checks a lot of boxes. And if you're the Cardinals and you want to give up a future second-round pick, your second-round pick this year, you're a swap of first-round picks this year, and a 4th and a 6th-rounder for Abdul Carter, what are you doing? You should be doing that in a heartbeat. This is the type of aggressiveness that I've been trying to say about Monty Ossenfort that he needs to start diving into. Because if the Cardinals do get Abdul Carter for some reason in Thursday's NFL draft, you are talking about one of the worst defensive lines last year, propelling itself all the way into like the top 12 conversation. And then forget any of that. If you could just ask yourself one player in this draft, not realistically, just someone you would want that would help this Cardinals defense, who would you say? Abdul Carter. So, no, I don't think it's realistic that they're going to do it, largely because the Cardinals have been very conservative. And to their point, it has built a pretty good football team. But this team needs a pass rusher and needs to go get a blue chip talent. And there's one player in this whole draft who I think as of right now is the best player and is maybe the only blue chip guy in the draft. It would be Abdul Carter. As much as I think Travis Hunter's a good player, Shedeur Sanders, good player, whoever it is, there's one guy that changes games. You need a wrecker on the defensive line. Let's say he gets you 9 sacks this year, which I think is very doable for someone with the talent of Abdul Carter. That is 9 sacks he didn't have last year that you could have really used. And if you are asking yourself, if adding Abdul Carter is the difference from making the playoffs and not making the playoffs, why in the world would you not be doing everything to make it happen? And then you're talking about a defensive line. And then you're talking about a defensive line with Abdul Carter, Calais Campbell, Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, Darius Robinson. That propels from one of the worst defensive lines from last year to one of the better ones. And if that means you get 2 less selections in this year's draft, whatever. I'm in the mood for being aggressive. And if Abdul Carter turns into a top 5 pass rusher, top 5 to 7 pass rusher in the NFL, which I think is very doable, you're not going to remember the 6th round pick, 2nd round pick, and 3rd round pick that they gave up. You're just not. No one right now says, hey, I would love to trade Myles Garrett for a 2nd, 3rd, 6th rounder and a swap of firsts. But that's the kind of price that is going to be the price for this year's NFL draft, given the fact that it's just not a good draft. So why the Cardinals aren't in the Abdul Carter sweepstakes is beyond me. And it's funny because I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is the kind of things that you get here. Innovative, creative ways for you to consume sports. I go through every outlet and sometimes it's a little crazy. And then I get the notification this morning, teams calling Browns and Giants for those picks. So you'd have to call the Browns or Giants. But now buzz is starting to percolate with this with this NFL draft about potentially moving up in the draft. Okay. So we know how I stand on Abdul Carter. The Cardinals should be doing everything they can to go get the guy. And I've spent time on first round selections, but let's spend 5 to 6 minutes on guys that I just want the Arizona Cardinals to target. Let's say that they just have a normal draft. They don't trade up. They don't trade back. They get a Will Johnson at 16. They get a Justin Simmons at 16. They get a Jalen Carter, a Jahad Campbell at 16, whatever. That's not what we're focusing on right now. I've got 3 guys that I would like the Arizona Cardinals to at least get 2 of them. And these are guys that, to me, seem like culture guys and have the potential to be even more than that. And these are the 3 players. Riley Leonard, Jack Sawyer, Cam Skattebo. If I could get 2 out of those 3 guys in the back ends of these drafts, I would consider it a success. Riley Leonard, big arm, mobile, and you saw the way that he played in the playoffs outside of the championship game in the first half. He was pretty effective. I think he is the most project-oriented talent in the NFL draft in terms of quarterback. That's a guy that if you mold him correctly, could turn in to one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He has all the tangibles. Big, strong, athletic. Those are the type of things you want to see in your quarterback. And Kyler Murray, we're not sure if he is going to rise up to the task this year or show us all that potentially maybe he's not the franchise quarterback that we thought he was going to be. And instead of getting caught flat-footed, start to have a succession plan in place. And if it doesn't work out because Kyler's awesome, which is a great place to be, you move on from Riley Leonard. Easy. And it doesn't cause any worries in the locker room about who the quarterback is right now. It's Kyler, but apply some pressure. And then you got Cam Skattebo. The thing that frustrates me the most about the Cardinals fan base and media is like, you don't need Cam Skattebo. Yeah, because James Conner's always stayed healthy. He's a very healthy individual. Did you see the Cardinals offense last year? The second James Conner went off the field in that Seahawks game. They were a shell of themselves. They needed someone who could help be a bruiser and fill the hole of what James Conner does. And that's exactly what Cam Skattebo did. Or that's exactly what Cam Skattebo could do. Well, you drafted Trey Benson last year. Okay. I drafted Josh Rosen one year, and then I drafted Kyler Murray the next year. What do I care? I'm not worried about what I did last year. I'm worried about what I did this year. And as much as I do like Trey Benson, I think in the NFL now, you need 2 or 3 backs because of the injuries, and you're constantly switching out guys each and every play. And Cam Skattebo, I think with the ceiling he has, culture guy, bruiser, fits exactly what the Cardinals could do, he would make sense for this team. And then lastly, Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer, if Jack Sawyer is not picked by the Cardinals in the NFL draft, that would be the most disappointing thing that could happen. Because you know that they could get him. And I think it's pretty clear what Jack Sawyer is. He's a diamond in the rough that everyone knows has potential, but because everyone has overscouted him too much, or maybe he's too small, or he's too big, or he's not big enough, he's not fast. All I know is the dude makes plays. There is just a football quality that some dudes have that can't be measured by a speed test or an agility test or a hands test. There's just a certain gamer mentality that dudes have, and Jack Sawyer has that. And as much as I like Riley Leonard and I like Cam Skattebo, Jack Sawyer is at a position that the Cardinals desperately need. And I understand, he's not big enough, he's not fast enough, he doesn't play the position the way I'd like for him to do it. But let's just be honest. The dude makes plays, and that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for a playmaker late in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 4th round who could be more. It's 2 days in a row. I just decided I was going to sneeze on camera. But Jack Sawyer is that guy. That's a dude that you could just go after, go get, plug and play, and you know he's got a certain floor to him to where he's not going to just completely fall right on his head. Leader, national champion, makes plays, not necessarily the fastest or the strongest or whatever guy, but there's just a football quality to him that I want him on this team. And it also is kind of funny that the three guys I picked, and I didn't realize right now, that I'm saying are gritty, good athletes with the potential to be more, are all white. That is kind of funny. It is kind of funny and puts me in the stereotypical category that's whatever. But, listen, happens. I think we can all agree that we like those guys. But either way, Abdul Carter is someone you should be trading up for. Riley Leonard, Cam Scadaboo, Abdul Carter. Two of those three I want on this team. And just so we're being fair, if I had to pick the two, I would take Riley Leonard and Jack Sawyer. I'd be fair to say, and I think it'd be fair to be that guy that says Cam Scadaboo probably the least of the most important that you need, although it would just be really fun. But those are some of those supplemental guys that I would be disappointed in if they didn't get two of those three. Those guys have raw potential that if tapped in correctly and coached up correctly, those are a couple of guys that you could really use on this team next season. All right, moving on. All right, I had an idea yesterday, and it popped up yesterday during the Locked On Sun show. But it wasn't until the very end that we had brought it up. But we talked about coaches, who the Phoenix Suns could go grab, who would be a perfect selection for the Phoenix Suns as the next NFL or as their next head coach, and just what that would look like. But what I think needs to be seen first is before the Suns get a coach, they've got to find someone that can help steer this team into the right direction. And you're thinking about President of Basketball Operations or a new general manager or a guy that can do both. And of course, your mind goes to Dave Griffin and it goes to Bob Myers. But the thing that worries me about those kind of selections is why would they want to be here? They would almost certainly be taking this job solely for money. And I have never been one to say taking a job for just money alone is the right thing to do. Just recently, I took a job that was pretty much for the money and benefits alone. And it didn't work out. And it probably should have been a red flag right to me that wasn't the best opportunity, wasn't the best fit. No one's personal issues. It just happens. And so when you're talking about what the Phoenix Suns should do when it comes to a president of basketball operations, when it comes to a general manager, a guy who has really ring true over the past couple of days is Steve Nash. For the longest time, when Steve Nash wasn't a part of the Phoenix Suns, when he got traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, and then he retired kind of anticlimactically, you just never heard of the guy. He disappeared. He went away into the ether, never to be seen again. But he's obviously kind of popped up since then. Been the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Been a part of an advisor role with the Golden State Warriors. Won a championship with them. And now he's doing the podcast with LeBron James, which, by the way, is awesome. Really good. The last episode they did, not today, but last week, was all about a autobiography on Steve Nash, and it was fantastic. So when you talk about guys that can lead this team effectively, Steve Nash is a name that really makes a lot of sense as the next president of basketball operations for the Phoenix Suns. And at first when I said it, I was like, I don't know, man, is that nostalgia? And a little bit it is. And that's okay to admit that. But I think Steve Nash, who's a clear basketball mind, one of the smartest point guards of our generation, if you're talking about someone that would know how to fix a team and lead it, and everyone would follow suit because of his ties to Phoenix, he makes a lot of sense here. And so when I'm talking about a Dave Griffin or a Bob Myers or Mr. Outside Hire, Tim Connolly, that would be nonsense, but Tim Connolly coming to the Phoenix Suns and being their new president of basketball operations or general manager or whatever that would look like. A new head honcho calling the shots here. I think you really got to think about Steve Nash. And if Nash isn't the guy, this is an outside of the box hire. I don't want him as the head coach, just so we're being clear. But a guy that can make basketball decisions, understand because he's breaking down the modern game of basketball right now with LeBron James on his podcast. And you could tell when you watch that show that he's got a clear itch to be there. That's the kind of guy I want running this franchise. I don't want someone coming in like a Bob Myers or a Dave Griffin who's just strictly taking this job because of Matt Ishbia's money. I mean, that's what it feels like Mike Budenholzer did, $10 million a year, and it felt like at times he was trying to get fired. I want someone who truly cares about this franchise. And Nash could still go do the podcast with LeBron. He doesn't have to be the GM doing day-to-day things, but just a filter or a guy that can be ran through in terms of, here's an idea, what do you think? And him understanding and grasping the modern NBA and just overall a smart guy that speaks well makes a lot of sense for the Suns team. And if there's someone that I was out there that was just a out-of-the-box hire, someone who would make sense, Steve Nash might be that guy. And I understand that it comes off as a nostalgia, Arizona sports, low self-esteem take. But the more you think about it, if there's someone that at least deserves an interview, just give him a chance to blow your socks off. Just give him a chance to wow you so hard that you're like, man, maybe he's not our next president of basketball operations, but let's just hire him to be an advisor here. Given his history with the Phoenix Suns, I believe people might fall in line too pretty effectively. So, I know it sounds a little hasty, and it almost sounds like when people tell me Chris Paul should be the next head coach of the Phoenix Suns, you're like, that's ridiculous. What isn't ridiculous, though, is you've seen what he's done since retiring from basketball. He's got a good relationship with Devin Booker. He's got a good connection to the Valley. He'll have a long leash. He's a smart guy. That is a dude that you would want running this organization. It's not like he's not qualified. He's been in an advisor role. He's obviously won 2 MVPs, so he knows something about basketball. And he was the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. He's done enough to earn that promotion. And just on name recognition alone, hey, I'm Steve freaking Nash. That guy deserves a shot. So that's where I think is a outside of the box potential shot caller of the Phoenix Suns. And I think they could do much worse. And I don't think he'd be a Matt Ishbia yes man, which is the most worrisome thing. So when it comes to the next president of basketball operations, a guy that needs to throw their hat in the ring, Steve Nash. It would make some good sense. Guys, I appreciate you for joining me today. I know I just blew out your eardrums screaming into the microphone. I apologize, but I'm just stoked to be here. What, do you think I'm going to apologize for being excited to be here? Well, I just did, but now I think about it, probably shouldn't have. So we are growing tremendously on social media platforms. Man, you guys are doing numbers for me. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 7 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday, and we will be recording on Friday. We got the NFL draft. We're going to be recording. There's going to be some sort of, we got to be able to get this out. So appreciate you guys making me a part of your day. This week alone will be Monday through Friday, but most of the time it's Monday through Thursday. Appreciate you guys making the Ben Garcia Show a part of your day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. React to things on social media that I post. I'll respond back to you. I appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you guys when? Tomorrow.